Hi guys, hope you're well and welcome to a special edition of Parks Travel Guide filmed right here where we live on a rather sunny day in Roden in Leeds.
If you're a returning subscriber, then hello and welcome back. And if you are new around here, I'm Becky, this is John, and together we're Parks Travel Guide.
As some of you know, we've recently returned from a 6-month adventure where we posted lots of travel related content to help you plan your own adventures. The biggest question we got asked was, how did we do it?
In this episode, we'll be sharing lots of useful information, including how we funded our trip, how we planned our route, and answering all of your travel related questions and queries that you've sent us on social media.
If you're looking at planning a similar trip of your own, then you'll want to stick around because there might be some useful information that will help you with it.
So without further ado, let's get started. Okay guys, so let's kickstart today's vlog with a question from Ronnie, and I'm sure it's a question that's on everyone's mind, and that is, how did we fund a 6-month trip? So I think our best advice to start off with is, you need to think about the kind of trip that you want to have. Do you want to have a backpacking trip where you can just enjoy it, do excursions, meet friends, and make the most of the experience? Or are you wanting a working holiday where you're going to go out with limited funds and you're going to top up your travel savings by working abroad? These are the kinds of questions that you now need to start thinking about in order to create a financial plan to budget for your trip. For us, our plan wasn't to work abroad, and we just wanted to explore as many countries and new places as we could in the time that we had. We wanted to immerse ourselves in local culture, eat good food, have the best experiences, and best of all, make useful travel content for you guys back at home. So what we decided to do first, which was really beneficial, was we researched the cost of living in some of the countries in Asia that we wanted to visit. And from this, we came up with a rough estimate of £15,000 as a goal to work towards for our travel savings. Now, most people who have a mortgage would probably rent their house out, but because we'd just recently renovated, this wasn't really an option that we felt comfortable with doing. So in addition to our £15,000 of travel savings, we also needed to save an additional £7,000 to pay for the house bills for the period of time that we were not going to be in the UK. So collectively, our goal was to save £22,000, and we had just 9 months to do it. The thing that helped us out the most was that our mortgage was due for renewal. So we took out a £15,000 lump sum which covered the travel savings part. For the remaining £7,000, we divided this up over the 9-month period and put £400 each away in a savings account. Money was a bit tight, there was no luxuries, not many meals out, and we definitely had to reduce the number of long-haul holidays that we had in order to achieve the goal. But knowing that we were going to be going away for 6 months really kept us focused. So once we got all our travel savings together, we decided to book our first month of travel, which helped us immensely. So we booked our one-way flight to Singapore, we booked all our accommodation, we booked our remaining flights for that month, and we sorted our travel insurance, and collectively that took £3,000 out of the budget, leaving us with £12,000. The £12,000 was then divided over 6 months, which meant that we had £2,000 per month, which divided by an average of 30 days per month gave us a total of £66 per day, and that was for us both to live on. To make it easier to keep track of money, we decided to keep the lump sum in a separate savings account and paid £2,000 per month into our travel account, a bit like a salary every month to keep on top of our budget. So some months were harder than others, as obviously some countries were a lot more expensive, which is one of the reasons why we tried to get the expensive countries like Japan and Australia out of the way first. And any money that we did have left at the end of 1 month got carried over to the next. Something else that massively helped us out was obviously the YouTube channel. You guys watching videos at home really helped us with the ad revenue to top up our money at the end of every month. And also everyone that donated via PayPal, that really helped fund things like accommodation, food, and some experiences too. So it really helped us out towards the end of the month.
So after the financial side of planning came the exciting part of planning countries that we wanted to visit on our journey, but not also what we wanted to visit that'd be more logical from where we were in the side of the world. So the next step we had to do was go on the government website and look at visas. How much was that visa? Was a visa required? If it was, and you had to pay for it, that's money coming out of your budget that reduces your daily total. So we tried to go to countries that really didn't require them, or it was a free entry. And if it was free entry, how long was it for? We'd max out that visa before we moved on. So what we did in the end of it, we planned our first month, and after that it genuinely was destination unknown. We didn't know where we'd be from one day to the next. Some say that's exciting, some say that causes anxiety. It was a little bit of both for us, but it was all part of the experience.
question that Rachel asked us was, how did we decide a timeline of where to go and for how long? So obviously we had our list of destinations that we wanted to go to, and we purposely started in Australia, which was the furthest away, so we could work our way back to the UK over the 6-month period. What we did was we used Skyscanner to work out the cheapest airfare and tried to plan a logical route back, covering as many of the countries that we wanted to visit. In terms of accommodation, generally everywhere we went, we booked a minimum of 3 nights to try and do a bit of research about what was in the area, what kind of things we wanted to see, did we want to travel more in that particular part of the country, and from that we worked out a rough timeline of how long we wanted to spend in that place.
Right, so the finances are in place, the plan is in place. The next thing we need to get onto is the travel checklist. So we started with looking at visas on the government website, which we would urge you to do, so you know which countries require payment and a visa in advance, or some countries which you can get when you land. It's not a problem, but you need to know these things. So the main thing that we need to apply for beforehand was our visa into Australia. Now the next big thing that will be on your mind is travel insurance. Where do you go? Now we have this same problem because we move in multiple places, multiple countries, all with different requirements. So we found a quote through Outbackers Insurance, which was suited to backpackers just like us, and we also added gadget cover as well. Now this cost, we think, around the £200 to £300 mark per person for the 6 months cover. However, you need that kind of cover when you are moving around because you never know when you're going to come into some difficulty, should we say. So Outbackers was the plan that we were suited with the most. So how did we pay when we were over there? Well, normally we rely on our travel cards so much. 2 of which of our main ones I've actually got with me now. We've got a Revolut card and we've got a Starling Bank card. Revolut we used to swear by so much. Sometimes it has let us down. On the whole, it is a very good card. Starling has saved us more times than anything else, really. But also, we've had a question about this from Dean and Connor. Guys, we love you. Thank you for submitting it. Saying, what are the exchange rates like? What, commission do you pay? Basically, if it's with Revolut, which normally we use, you pay a perfect bank rate, especially, Monday to Friday. Weekends, they kind of close on the Friday rate and then they pick it up on the Monday, so you do pay a little bit of a surcharge, but it's about 1.something%. We do like to pay in cash as well, keep a little bit of currency out for us. When we're away, we were changing currencies that often that it wasn't feasible for us to withdraw large amounts. So we just pop something on these and use them for withdrawing as well. With the Revolut card, this has got our name on it, Pat's Travel Guide, and we can withdraw £400 a month on this. With the Starling Bank card, we use that to top up as well if we needed extra cash. We're getting there, folks. Vaccinations, nobody likes them. I don't like being stabbed either, but something that you need to think about. Where are you going in the world? If you're going somewhere like Africa, you're probably going to need something like yellow fever. For us, we've been travelling for quite a while, so all we needed was a top-up of hepatitis A and typhoid as well. So make sure you read up on your vaccinations that you need in advance of your travelling. So after this, we applied for an international driving licence for me to take a scooter out, which I did in the Philippines. And to be fair, it ended in tears. I took it out for 2 days and I drove it back, nearly crashed it, and it ended up parked up at the hotel until I needed to take it for fuel to return it back again. If you go to the local post office in the UK, you can get different international driving licences. It does depend what country you want them in. You might have to get like 3 different ones, but otherwise, ask them for advice, sign up. I think it cost me about £5 or something for one that I needed in the Philippines, but it was different to Thailand. So just make sure you check out what you need to get to avoid being accosted by the local police and a bit of a fine, because that will drain your budget even more. So the next thing we got was a burner phone. This is a Redmi, and we weren't too bothered if we lost that, because all this was used for was putting local SIM cards in, because it was cheaper than an eSIM, and basically using this as a router to send the internet to our phones, so we always had connectivity. But some of the SIMs in some countries will cost you a lot more. They do fluctuate depending on what data you want and this, that and the other. All we wanted was data, so some places were paid more, some places were paid less. But definitely take a burner phone with you. We're on to the last one now, which is really, really important, and that's Google Translate, because when you're on the internet, you can download the language packs and have access to the language while you're offline. Google Translate really helped us out in Japan because we had to basically take a picture of everything, which is a function on the Google Translate app, and see what we were actually eating, especially in the supermarkets. On the back of this, we'd also recommend downloading some apps before you go, because you can get access to offline navigation apps on your phone, which will come in very, very handy.
Okay guys, so you've sorted your budget, you've planned your route, you've completed the pre-travel checklist, and now it's time to pack. Here, I've got a few essential items that really saved us when we were traveling, and hopefully it gives you an idea of some of the important things that you need to take with you on your trip. The best piece of advice that I can give you is don't take anything with you that you are not prepared to leave behind. So obviously once clothes get washed a lot, they're going to get worn, they're not going to be in great condition. So if you've got any items of clothing that you really do love, then don't take them with you if you're not prepared to lose them. So as a rough guide, when we packed enough clothes to last us 2 weeks, and then we regularly did laundry. Think about the kind of places that you go into, think about the climates, think about what activities you're going to be participating in. Think about that when you are packing, and it will help you out immensely. So let's get into some of the bits and bats that we packed for our trip. So first and foremost, you are going to need, I assure you, a raincoat. Especially if you're going to Asia, which is quite a popular backpacking place, even South America, you're more than likely going to need a raincoat, and this really did save us, especially in the Philippines when we had a month of rain, and comes in really handy. Sun protection is a must. I wouldn't recommend anything less than a factor 30 personally, but I mean, it's up to you. If you want to get a good tan, then you're probably going to go lower. But in some of the countries that we went to, especially the Maldives, the sun is so fierce, and in some places we got such bad sunburn, especially on my head, and I never learnt my lesson because I didn't wear a hat enough, but I would definitely recommend you take a hat with you. Footwear. So ladies, I know you don't want to hear this, but honestly, ditch the heels, you do not need them. So we're not going to put those in. Trainers, on the other hand, are going to be your best friends. You are definitely going to need some trainers. Other footwear I took were just 2 pairs of sandals. One were pretty basic, another pair were a bit jazzier for an evening if I wanted to, and a great alternative to wearing heels. Make sure they are comfortable, because if you've only got 2 pairs, guys, you're going to be wearing them a lot, and if you're anything like us, you're going to probably be doing a lot of walking as well, so you definitely need to invest in some good sandals before you go. Next we have a water bottle. These came in really handy at airports. So a lot of the airports that we travelled through had free water fountains where you could go and fill your water bottle up, and this meant that we didn't have to buy a drink. Also, if you're going on hikes and things, great to carry with you, especially when there's not going to be any shops in the middle of the jungle. Again, lifesaver, basic medical kit. So ours just literally has like plasters, paracetamol, ibuprofen, diarrhea capsules, because you know some people do get dicky tummies when they're away, mosquito spray, basic day-to-day things that you're probably going to need, and they're just here in a handy little kit. Obviously, you are going to need a travel adapter. So all we took with us was one single universal travel adapter. So this is a travel cube, I believe. So on this we have USB ports. We've got 4 of them on this one. I think we got this on Amazon, so if we can find it, we'll leave the link in the description of this video as well. But this basically, you just slide it out. It's got all your different countries on, except India. That was the only one that it didn't have, so we did have to buy a separate one for that. But because we only took one, all we did was take a UK extension lead, plugged it straight in, and then we've got 4 plug sockets there that we could use, so taking an extension lead was also really, really handy. And then last of all, a day bag. So I say a day bag, but our day bags are actually pretty huge. So invest in a really good day bag. These ones in particular meant that if we wanted to leave our big suitcase somewhere, we could actually just pack this for a few days and just disappear for a few days, knowing that we didn't have to cart all this stuff. So hopefully the few little tips that I've shared with you here will help you out massively when packing for your trip. Okay guys, so in this section of the vlog, we're going to be answering questions that you guys have sent in about our 6-month adventure. So John, do you want to start?
And the first one is from Donna. Where was the best place you visited and where was the worst?
Same answer that we've been giving everybody is a joint 2. So our highlights were definitely the Maldives and India for sure.
Agreed. So the Maldives for us was a particular highlight. The trips that you can do, the sea life, the marine life, everything about it was just absolutely spectacular, and we were able to do it on a budget as well.
So I think in contrast, India then is worlds away from the Maldives. So you've got the Maldives that is super luxurious, and then you've got India, which is obviously a third world country. There's lots of poverty, and we just loved India for the different kind of adventure, because it was a real adventure, wasn't it?
Definitely.
The hospitality from people was incredible. You know, from the smells that are in the street, the food, it just ticks all the boxes for us, and it was just honestly one of the most incredible experiences.
There's so much, it's chaotic when you get there. It takes you a little bit of adjusting to, because everything just moves so fast and you have to keep up with it. And it's a bit overwhelming at first, but you soon settle in. So what would we think was the worst place?
I think for us, we're not really tourist resort kind of people, so if there's a resort that is far too touristy, you know, there's not really that many authentic and local restaurants to eat from.
It's a bit of a non-starter. We travel to experience the culture and experience the local food.
And I think for us, one of those places that we definitely hated the most was Alona Beach, and that was in Bohol in the Philippines. And that's definitely somewhere that we wouldn't return to.
Bohol itself is beautiful, but Alona Beach, it was really dirty. There were touts everywhere. I think, Alona Beach is one of the places that we wouldn't return to.
Okay then, so the next question comes from Emma. So out of all the countries you visited, which would you never go back to, and which one could you move to and live there for the rest of your life?
It would probably be Sri Lanka that would be lower down the list now. Mainly the south. I mean, we've still got some places we'd like to see, but we have done a lot of places, and this is the second time we've been now, like within a year. So we've seen quite a lot of it, but it's not as high on our list now before, because there are so many scammers. Everyone's trying to rip you off now because, you know, it's getting really, really touristy. So yeah, for that reason, that's probably lower down our list if we really had to pick.
Yeah, and I think in terms of a place that we could live, I think generally speaking, I think we are still looking for that place, and closest would probably be Thailand, but northern Thailand, and specifically Chiang Mai. We have been to Chiang Mai now twice, and we still have as much love for it as the first time that we visited. The food is incredible there. You know, you've got all the markets, so you've got street food markets, you've got your shopping markets, you've obviously got all the sightseeing, the temples, the culture. It's just an incredible place, and it's so different from southern Thailand where all your beaches are. You know, you're just surrounded by beautiful landscapes, and for that reason, if we had to choose out of all the countries that we'd visited, then Thailand would definitely be the one for us so far.
I'd vote Chiang Mai as well. So this question is from Leon. What place did you go that you wish you had more time in?
For me, I think it would be Vietnam. So I think we didn't get a visa, so I think we had 15 days. So we did not realise how much we were going to fall in love with Vietnam. The food, incredible. The culture, incredible. And it's very similar in ways to Thailand, but then again, it is also very different.
It's still developing. It's cheaper than Thailand, and they do 27 pence beer in Hanoi.
Yes, they do. Beer Hoi. That is the one.
Beer Hoi.
So there were quite a few other areas of Vietnam that we really wanted to explore. Phu Quoc, I think that's how you pronounce it. That was a little island, and it just looked like paradise. That looked incredible. Ho Chi Minh City, we didn't get down there. And we also didn't get to do the Ha Long Bay cruise. Unfortunately, we just didn't have the funds to do it this time, but we always leave reasons to go back to a country, and for that reason, we definitely need to revisit Vietnam.
For me, I'd have loved to have spent longer in Japan. The problem was, we went in the middle of winter, and in January Japan has a real winter, and all we had was basically warm weather backpacking gear. We took a pair of jeans, a light jacket, and prayers.
It wasn't ideal.
that was, we knew this was going to happen. We knew we were going to be cold, so we had to kind of limit the time that we were there, and we knew at the back of our minds we could escape back to the warmer weather of Southeast Asia. But there's so much to see in Japan. The culture is just amazing, and we wish we'd have had longer. But I think if we went back again, we'd probably go back in the summertime. Definitely up on the top of the list is a revisit to Japan at some point. We'd like to do something like Hiroshima, we'd like to go to Okinawa. We'd really like to do it properly. Japan and Vietnam.
This is from Sophie. Which place surprised you the most?
Singapore, I think. There's so much to Singapore, and you've got it in the back of your mind straight away that Singapore is expensive. Now, for me, the main part of it was the tech. As soon as we got off the plane, there were a little robot cleaner going around the floor, and I'm just blown away by robotics. And how was happening around there, and it was like, wow, that's the first bit of tech that I've seen. And then as we progressed through Singapore, there was more tech to the public eye. So the subway system in Singapore is driverless. There's no driver. It's all, automatic controlled. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. It was kind of like the tech that were expected in Japan, but it was in Singapore.
In Singapore instead, because we didn't really see that much tech in Japan. And it was incredible. It's like the airport in Singapore. Oh. Absolutely mind-blowing.
The best airport that we have ever been to.
Oh, yeah.
In the world.
We even arrived 9 hours before our flight. We had a 7.5 hour flight to Melbourne overnight. After that, we got there 9 hours early to try and get Singapore airport filmed. And we were darting around left, right and centre, and we still didn't cover it all. But I think at some point we're going to end up in Singapore airport and do a challenge, like 24 hours living in Singapore airport.
That would be amazing.
See where we go.
Singapore surprised us that it is so cost effective if you actually look in the right places. So we were eating at the hawker centres. John was getting beer in there because it was so much cheaper than getting it in the supermarkets or the big sort of like rooftop bars. And we're just basically looking for where the locals go, and that's where we were heading. So Singapore can definitely be as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be.
Next one is from Potsy. Where didn't you go but you wish you did?
Super easy for me. Pakistan. Pakistan. There is nowhere else for me apart from Pakistan. So Pakistan is somewhere that me and John have both always talked about. We've watched so many vlogs on Pakistan. We've planned some sort of mock itineraries for places that we'd like to go, and it just looks incredible. And especially when we've been speaking to our Pakistani friends about it, they've been so excited about us going. So in a way, I think
we want to come with you. But
in a way, I think everyone was deflated for us that we didn't go. What about you, John? Where did you want to visit?
For me, it was going to be South Korea. The problem that we came up against was that they have just as much of a harsh winter as Japan, so we'd have needed to have more warm weather clothes basically, which we just didn't have. So there was no other option really than to skip South Korea this time. Right, let's have a look, see who's next.
So this next question comes in from Tourism Quest magazine on Instagram.
It's nice, hey guys.
So, how different do you think your trip to India was in comparison to other trips? That's a great question.
It is. One word I can sum it up as is probably chaotic. There's very little order in India. You've just kind of got to go with the flow. Just stand there, look around you, and just go with it, basically.
Yeah, and embrace it.
Yeah, embrace it for what it actually is. But you will get whiplash. I mean, it's like I was watching tennis. I was like trying to cross the road. We're like that all the time.
It is.
There's something
so
happening
busy.
all over. There's colours, the sights, the sounds, the smells. It's really, really, really overwhelming place, especially when you get to the likes of like Jaipur and Agra and Delhi. But it's a really good kind of crazy as well.
India, when you're comparing it to some of the other places that we've been to, it's literally worlds away.
Yeah.
So, we have been to some other third world countries as well, but I think you expect poverty. And you kind of expect the scale of poverty that you're going to see, but you can actually physically or mentally prepare yourself for what you actually see in real life. It is so much worse than we ever imagined. And we did our little bits to help where we could, and it broke us. I think that is probably the best way to describe it. India broke us, and our hearts have been left there.
This one is...
Hang on, you're really upsetting my OCD, by the way. Like, can we just keep these neat? This is a professional set here.
Sorry, Judy. This one's from Hillary. Which was your best experience of the trip?
Oh, I mean, there were so many great experiences. I thought that my greatest and best experience would have been snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef, until we went snorkeling in the Maldives, and that just blew everything away for us. It was just full of colour. There were so many different species of fish that we'd never even seen before, all of which were so curious. Literally thousands of fish at some points. And the coral reef was just so healthy. It was thriving. It really, really was. And just to be there, the moment was just so surreal. And For someone who was absolutely frightened to death of going in the water, the sea in particular, you struggle to get me out of it.
And you jumped off the boat.
And I jumped off the boat, and I was really proud of myself because I've never done that. There must be 4 more snorkeling trips minimum that I want to do in the Maldives, so we have to go back.
Yeah. We'll be back at some point.
It's just a case of when.
I think for me, it was going into the community kitchen at the Sikh temple in Delhi.
Oh yeah, that was good.
The second busiest in the world, and helping them do things, having a look round, making some chapatis. You got heavily involved in that, didn't you?
I did.
And just seeing everybody come together. It didn't matter what religion you were, what colour you were. I mean, we just walked in with our guide. And they invited us to go sit down, and it's a massive operation that's, you know, volunteer run, and they do such a great job, and I'm really, really glad that we went there.
Yeah. So the next one comes in from Nicola. What was the funniest moment of the trip?
We've got a thing, no matter where we are in the world, if the banana phone rings, then you've got to answer it. We're on a train from Delhi to Agra. You get given a meal when you're on board, and basically I got a banana with my meal. So did Becky, and she started the banana phone ringing just before they came round with tea. Tell a lie, it was conductor checking the ticket, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Started going ring ring, ring ring, and I had people all over, and all like, oh, not here.
But like John said, it is mandatory. It doesn't matter where you are, you have to answer the banana phone.
So I had to pick it up off my tray. Hello. How you doing, mate? Yeah, what's up? No, I'm just on a train in India going to Agra. Yeah, Taj Mahal.
So then at this point, the conductor comes up behind John, and John had to make a decision at that point whether to hang up his banana phone or carry on his conversation. So what did you do, John?
In a blind moment of panic, I chose to continue my conversation. The conductor came round. I was like, I'm on the phone. I'm on phone, pal. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, conductor's here. Yeah, he's just going to check my ticket. Yeah, sorry, mate. Okay, give me a ticket. This conductor just looked at me and went,
It was probably one of those situations where you had to be there. You might be sat there now thinking that is not funny at all, but to us, that'll always be hilarious.
I've got next. One from Joanne. What was your favourite food?
Curry.
Curry.
Curry is something that we eat at home 2 or 3 times a week. John makes it a really, really good curry, and he experiments with lots of different curries. So for us, when we went to India, it was curry for breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
Curry is our favourite cuisine.
Yeah.
Thai is definitely another favourite. My top 3 favourite Thai dishes would probably be khao soi, pad thai, and then either red or green Thai curry.
I think for me, when we were in Bali and we went to Anna's restaurant,
Yeah, Indonesian.
lovely little restaurant. We love Indonesian food, but her spicy chicken was absolutely out of this world, and it was the tastiest dish that, hand on heart, I have ever eaten in my life, and I still stand by that now.
Yeah, it was
absolutely
incredible. So curry, Thai, Indonesian, I think are definitely our top 3. The next question is from Emily. What's one lesson that you learned the hard way, and what surprised you by working out perfectly?
After Japan, it really was destination unknown. So what didn't work in our favour was by booking our flights last minute, especially the international ones, they cost a fortune. Money that we could have saved if we'd have kind of planned a route going round. But also we had to take whatever accommodation was left as well. So it meant that a lot of times we're either moving hotel 2 or even 3 times.
And then I think in terms of what surprised us by working out perfectly, out of 34 flights on the trip, was we didn't have a single delay, not even 5 minutes.
It's an achievement for us, because even if we nip down for a couple of nights to Spain or something,
We usually get a
we
delay.
usually cop for a delay. Yeah, so this was incredible. Everything
fluke.
just worked.
An absolute fluke.
Yeah. Right. Next one is from Donna. Having done 6 months, do you think you could have done longer?
Yes. 100%. The goal initially, we did want to travel for like 9 to 12 months.
Yeah.
We were sort of at a point in our lives where we just kind of had enough, and we just needed to get travelling, I think. So we kind of decided to just leave with the savings that we had, and we were hoping that we could make some sort of extra income to keep us travelling longer than 6 months. The homesickness did affect us quite a bit, but we did battle through it, and you know, it was a lot easier because, you know, we have video calls and things now. I think the only reason that we didn't travel longer than 6 months is because financially we just couldn't afford to stay. We literally spent up to pretty much the last penny by the time we got home.
Yeah. So yeah, we'd definitely travel for longer if we could. Would have loved to, but you know, maybe next time.
Okay, so the next question comes in from Sophie. Would you ever do a trip like this again if you had the chance, and do you have any regrets? I think we both know what the answer to that is.
Tomorrow, if we could, if the money was there, we would be gone tomorrow. We're at our happiest when we're travelling, we're experiencing new cultures, new things. Life's for living, it's not a rehearsal, so you've got to grab the bull by the horns and just go and do it. Do what makes you happy.
In terms of regrets, the whole trip itself, we absolutely do not regret whatsoever, or any of the sacrifices that went with it in terms of like leaving jobs behind. Still to this day, the best thing that we ever did.
Even though the adjustment period when we came back was very, very hard, even for a few months after, it was difficult to get back to normal life. When we entered our house, you know,
it just didn't feel like home.
It just didn't feel like home to us, no.
A couple of things that we do regret are, we definitely think we tried to cram in too many places in a short period of time. I think in hindsight, what we should have done for 6 months is maybe limited it to 3 or 4 countries and really explore those countries in depth. Maybe not retread all ground, so maybe miss out some of the places that we had previously been to. And I think we definitely learned a vital lesson in the first half of the trip, because the first 3 months YouTube was just taking over. So I think the biggest regret there would have been, we definitely should have always started off just putting out 1 vlog a week instead of trying to cram in 2 vlogs a week.
You know, putting together just 1 vlog that you see generally takes 4 or 5 days of filming, and then getting home it's editing.
I think in terms of would we do this trip again, we're always looking at ways to actually be able to sustainably travel full time, and that is the long-term goal. There are ways you can support us, guys. Some of you have made PayPal donations, which have been greatly appreciated throughout the trip.
Just that little bit extra helped us out so much, and we're so grateful to everyone that did contribute for that.
I think going forward, we'd like to set something up a little bit more professional. We are looking into Patreon and other avenues like that. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for any updates in regards to Patreon. And last of all, we are potentially looking into Parks Travel Guide merchandise. So we ordered a little sample tote bag.
Lou won one, didn't she, on our competition that we had? Well done, Lou. I hope you're enjoying that.
So maybe things like this, maybe some hats with Parks Travel Guide on.
T-shirts.
If you have any ideas on any merchandise that you would actually like and consider purchasing, then let us know some ideas in the messages and comments, guys, because we'd love to hear your feedback. If you guys are going to be ordering this merchandise, what is it that you'd want to order?
Yeah,
let us know.
Definitely. Right, on to the last question from Tashia. What is your next destination?
You may have seen, if you follow us on our social media, behind the scenes, that we have been working on our latest vlog, which is going to be the Great British Holiday. There's been an increase for people having staycations and not actually leaving the UK for their holidays. So we thought, what a great time to jump on the bandwagon, and we went to Primrose Valley to have a haven holiday in a caravan, and that vlog will be coming out very, very soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And if you don't follow our socials, then we are on Instagram, Facebook and TikTok. Do give us a follow, guys, because it's the best way to stay up to date with where we are in the world and what we are up to. And do you want to tell everyone what's next on the agenda?
So this year in November we're going to the Caribbean on a 2-week all-inclusive cruise to give you guys an idea of what to expect if you've never cruised before. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that button so you don't miss it when it comes. That'll be released sometime in December, we expect. So that marks the end of our questions. Thank you to everybody that submitted them. You guys make us who we are all the time.
Hopefully this vlog has answered quite a few questions that you might have if you are planning your own long-term travel trip. If we haven't answered a question that you want in answering, then please do feel free to drop us a message on any of our social media platforms, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have.
And if you haven't liked this vlog already, make sure you go down below, just hit that thumbs up button because it supports us as a small channel.
So we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time for our next vlog, which will be the Great British Holiday.
Thanks for watching, guys. Take care for now.
Bye.